Well, we've got it on thumb drive now. Either way, you can, okay.
So this is Steve, and we're going to let Steve talk to you, okay? This is Steve Gaudreau. We're really glad to have you here this morning. So I'm going to kind of let you do your own introduction here.
That's fine. I got a few things to talk about while we're waiting for this. Whew, good morning. It's been one of those mornings. Is this thing on okay? Okay, all right, good. Got here yesterday, and I'm always thankful that I get to where I'm going safely, but plane got out of DCA kind of late. Pilot comes on and tells us we got computer problems. Now, I was a pilot. We never had computer problems when I flew. You know, the tires needed air or the engines didn't start or something like that. But so I got in late, drove down from Nashville, come in and out of there, and didn't get to the hotel till late, but got settled in and had a good sleep. Got up this morning, had a cup of coffee, walked out to my rental car, and it wouldn't let me in. So I spent the next 30 minutes, 15, 20 minutes calling Alamo and saying, I can't get in, tow truck, I won't be there. Oh, look, it's up. And just been one of those mornings. We got here. And so I think we're good.
Yes, we are. One more thing. We need to turn the mic on.
Uh-huh.
There you go.
There we go. Oh, I can hear myself. There we go. I've been struggling a little bit with some head and sinus stuff, but I think my voice is okay. So good morning. This is the work that I've been doing for the last 4 or 5 years that Jairus and Juanita Bullard have been doing, as you know, for a long time. And over the years, we had COVID. Health problems kicked in with both Jairus and Juanita. Jairus currently on dialysis machines 3 times a week. So, but he's kind of a hard-headed Texan. He pushes on. He's doing well, and he sends his regards and his love to you. I go every year right around the end of January, and I spend about 3 weeks over there. I come back. I take the month of March off. And then from April all the way through now December, I visit as many of the contributing churches as I can to let you know what's going on over there, what's happening with the brethren, construction, with the money that you give to support and that sort of thing. You mark my 15th visit in a matter of like 6 or 8 months, because I'm really trying to make sure on my schedule that I don't let any congregation go more than 2 years without my visiting them. Had I not come here, and at the last minute, I kind of emailed Ed and I said, hey, I got the month of December. And if I miss you, it's going to be 3 years. I'd like to come down, and gracious enough to let me come down and present this to you, and maybe to present a series of lessons, one of which that I present when I go to India. You get to hear what I tell them, and as I prepare for that. I always like to put up these 2 verses of scripture. The first one is why we go, and it's kind of obvious. And the second one is what we do when we get there. And so as you read, go into all the world, preach the gospel to all creation, that's what we do. We do that here. We do that in other countries. I know there's other mission work, but this is why we go to India. I like this verse in Acts. This is what Paul tells Barnabas just before they shove off for their second missionary journey. He says, let us return and visit the brethren in every city, which we have proclaimed the word of the Lord, to see how they are. I like that. And that's kind of what we do. All the real work of gospel meetings and that sort of thing happens after I leave. This is when the brethren get serious. This is when they go out in masses and they get multitudes of hundreds of people that will come listen to them. I'm just the tall, white-haired, blue-eyed anomaly that shows up, and I preach and I teach, and baptisms happen every year that we go there. But I go there to make sure that the Christians, I call it the Christians, the construction, and the continuance, continuity. Make sure the brethren are doing okay. Make sure they're in good spirits. Make sure that the things that we're paying for, the buildings and such, are being constructed and are in one piece and are being used. And that the schools and the programs that we set in motion that we pay for are actually being executed according to the word of God. And what I've learned without any great version is that every once in a while, you go over there and you'll hear somebody say something, teach something, or preach something, and you have to kind of call them back and say, I heard what you said. Let's talk about what you said and make sure that we're preaching the truth and we don't get off the track. So anyway, that's kind of what I do when I go. This is kind of just a sketchy map of India, but all those dots are where I go. Every time I go in about 2.5 weeks. So I'm either speaking or eating, traveling or sleeping. I don't have much time off when I get there. And so it's busy, but it's good work and it goes by fast. This, let me see if I hit the right button here. I don't have a, yeah. Oh, you can't see it up there, but that red dot in the upper right-hand corner, that's where we had a school of preaching. And in previous letters, newsletters that I've sent out, you may have read that there was a tribal upheaval in that area and that they came down out of the mountains and fought the city people. It was really brutal. They were killing people in the streets. They were chasing Christian churches out of their areas. The compound that we had that was a church and a school of preaching was taken over, burned, raided, ransacked, the whole thing. So, technically it's still our property, but we're not going back to fight anybody to get the land back. We're just kind of waiting to see when the government says it's okay, you can get back in there. That was several years ago. So I don't go visit up there anymore, but every place else we visit. Same picture when I arrive every year. The only difference is we're a little older, probably a little heavier. Not much I can do about that these days, but we meet and greet each other as we get ready to do the work. This place here is a place that's like an apartment that we've owned for many years. We call it the Tulsi home. It's kind of I don't want to call it a headquarters, but it is a central meeting place that we meet together. There's a room in there for me. There's a room in there for the brethren, a kitchen, just not huge, but nice size to welcome people and have them come. I always feel I have to apologize for the big pictures in the background. I call it the Billy Graham syndrome. They treat you with all these tons of flowers and large pictures of yourself on the wall that I don't, I could do without, but that's kind of the way they let you know that they're there and the greetings that they give. And this is just some of the brethren coming to say hello. We take time to give just a little short lesson and discussion on the work that we're about to do, a devotional, if you will, that I talk about what we're going to do as we travel around the country and just to get a chance to know them. Brother P. Mark, he's kind of the key guy there. He's the one that travels with me, him and his brother, does the translating for me most of the time, unless we go north and it's Hindi that we're in, then I'll get a translator that speaks Hindi. It's kind of what it looks like from the back. The front door there is on the left. The brothers have bedrooms in the back and one room behind me. All these are preachers and wives of preachers. Good greeting, just a good welcome back to India kind of ceremony. The very next morning, we're doing a worship service in this place, in a place called Saru Nagar. Brother Chenna Raju lives there or preaches there. And this is kind of what the inside of their church building looks like. The more modern ones have more color on the walls, but they seem to like to decorate within reason how they like. And this one has these nice lights up on the ceiling and the red or the lights, the red what do you call it? Shades. This is just a nice picture I like to take because these are all the sisters of the congregation. They wear these pretty things called saris. And there's not two of them in there that are alike. They're all different. They're all very colorful. It's just kind of a pretty picture to take in worship. And just so you know, this is not a congregation of women. I just chose to leave the men on the right-hand side out of it just for this picture. The brothers are there. They come upstairs after the worship service, and we have a Bible study up there. You can see that it's mostly tarps and bamboo. That's in a city where we're trying to get permission to finish building the top so that they have a place to do their Bible studies in, not during the rainy season. Because when the rains come pouring in, this doesn't work. You have to take the tarps down, put everything away, and just make sure that nothing gets washed away. But we have a good study. After that, anybody who has received the gospel and wants to be baptized, we take him back downstairs at this baptismal. He doesn't have a lot of room in his property, so didn't have a lot of room to put in a big baptismal. We're kind of used to baptizing people by laying them back in the water. Not so much so here. You more have to push them straight down in the water to get what they need to get baptized, but that works. And we baptized this sister who comes from a Muslim family who had been worshiping with us, coming to worship for some time, and decided to obey the gospel. We don't get tons of Muslims that come in. We don't get tons of Hindu people that come in, but we do get them, and they do visit for various reasons. And it's just an interesting relationship that we have out there. So Hyderabad is the name of the city I land in. It's the one in the middle. After we get to know everybody and map out where we're going, we travel down to this place here called Vijayawada, not too far from the Bay of Bengal. And there's where we have other brethren that we meet. Brother P. Joseph, or P. John, worships or teaches, preaches at this building. This is a relatively new building. And I'm just going to tell you in short, the places where he was were rental places owned by Hindus and or Muslims who did not like the groups. He did not like the Christian singing. So they never renewed his lease. They always kept chasing him from one place to another, and people would have to meet outside or under tents. So finally what we did is we found a piece of property. We built a church building. We built a nominal but suitable place for them to live in as an attachment to that building. And now they have a place to live, a place to worship without anybody chasing them out. So that's what the inside of that building looks like. Anytime I have anything to do with the construction of a building, I always make sure there's fans in the ceiling. The brethren over there know that I'm not going to stand up in front of anybody unless I got fans above me or left and right of me to try to stay cool. Those brothers over there can be 116 degrees and they walk around all day without a drop of sweat anywhere. Not so much for me. But when I start pulling out rags to wipe off sweat, they come rushing at me with bottles of water, thinking I'm having a heart attack. And I'm telling them, no, I'm just sweating, brothers. It's okay. I'm allowed to sweat. But that's what it looks like there. And this is the house that's kind of attached to it. Not a lot there, an indoor place to go and a small kitchen and a place for them to live and stay. We go further south on our way to the School of Preaching in a place called Pamity Padu. Halfway down, there's another congregation that we support. It's in a city called Thimapuram, very much a village city. And the last 2 times I've been there, they've been kind of night gospel meetings. So we'll go down to Pamity Padu, spend a day, and then we'll come back up. We'll do an evening gospel meeting with the brethren. These are the 2 preachers that work there. One, Bubba Rao's on the left, he preaches there. And that's his brother, Srinu, who preaches somewhere else. That wall that you see behind him, we end up building over time, goes all the way around the compound. And the reason why it does is the rains, when they hit here, come kind of rushing in and do a lot of damage. So we put up the wall to keep out the rain. The other problem in this particular area is you want to keep the snakes out. The snakes like to find those nice warm kitchens and cuddle up nice and cozy. And it's a surprise when you go in there in the morning and get tea or coffee or something like that. So we made sure that we protected them as much as we could. And that's kind of what it looks like from the front. They all come, they all listen, they all respond. And then when we're done, that's what it looks like from the back. Nice family shot. And then the second best thing they do when they come is we eat. And there's always plenty of food and rice and chicken and various types of breads when we go there. So further south, we go down to this place, Pamity Padu, further south. It's a school of preaching that we have there. And this is different. Come from the city, and I don't have pictures of it in this one, but you go outside and there's wires hanging out all over the place. And it almost looks like somebody just left a mess, but they have a methodology for it. Plug one in, take one out. But it just looks like these trees of wires hanging on poles. And it looks a little bit chaotic. But when you get down here, this is farmland. You travel for 45 minutes in any direction. You see peppers out there being sunned. You see corn. You see cotton, all kind of things. So it's kind of pretty. And this is the School of Preaching. It too is a compound. We have it walled in for various different reasons, and it's gated. But the worship service is done there on the first floor, and the classrooms we have are on the top floor. I'm not sure if it's in here, but you'll see a guest room area that didn't have anything but the first floor. And this past year, because of the amount of people coming in for the School of Preaching, we needed more dormitory space. So we got the funding and we built a dormitory with 15 additional berthing spaces on top of the guest house that's being completed even as we speak. So as we get money and we have needs and we set priorities, we build things there to kind of help the brethren and help the mission. We have graduations when we go there. We run 2 schools of preaching every year. They're 3 months long each, and they all come in. We parallel that with what we call the Priscilla School of Preaching for Women. It's a Bible school that parallels the School of Preaching we have for the brethren over there. And so they have a graduation ceremony as well. I like this picture. It's kind of traditional. They like to come out in their white shirts and colored ties and blue tennis shoes, which I always think is kind of funny because I never see any of those brothers over there with shoes on at all, mostly just sandals. So it's kind of funny seeing them in ties and shoes, but it's a nice picture. And we give them gifts upon graduation. We give them a brand new Bible in Telugu, which is the language there. We give them some money to kind of get them started. We give them a tray for Lord's Supper and a basket that they pass around for collections. So we kind of get them started that way. Come outside, we have bicycles for the men, and we have sewing machines for the women. Bicycles, they're about 80 bucks a piece. But sometimes that's the only way they can get back and forth without paying for an auto, what they call an auto, which looks, if you're familiar with them, they're like three-wheeled motorcycles with a cab over the top, right? Not a lot of money, but it's payment. They can ride bicycles and do the same thing depending upon how far. And the ladies love these sewing machines because they can sew and make money for the house. Not a lot, but enough. So some of them can already sew, and they'll take those home and they'll sew for neighbors and friends and family. If they don't know how to sew, they learn. And again, it's just kind of a money-making thing for them and a gift that we give them at the end of the school year. This is one of the locals down there that they have up all over the cities, depending upon where you go. There are various gods and idols that they worship. This guy is called Hanuman. They call him the monkey god. Don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but the stories of the idols are so amazing that all I can tell you to do is Google some of these and read how they come up with the gods that they have. Hanuman, they call the monkey god because his jaw is jacked back in and he looks like a monkey. And on this one, on the newer ones, he even has a tail. Well, that depends on which story that they tell you about this god. One story is he was he wasn't human. He was a child god, and he was playing with the sun. Can't make this stuff up. Playing with the sun, and the father got mad that he was playing with the sun and hit him with a lightning bolt and hit his jaw, and that's why it's jacked back. That's one story. The other story is that this was actually a monkey that did something bravado within the arena of gods, and they awarded him by making him a god, and that's why he's got the tail. It's amazing, the stories, and you just want to kind of get these people together and say, really? This is what you're following, the story about gods, but that's what we're up against. And out of 1.4 billion people in that country, 80% of them believe this way. So it's just interesting to me, that's all. That's Hanuman. This is one called Lord Shiva, a more powerful god in their minds because he is the control of creation as well as destruction. And it's interesting. He's kind of complicated. He's got the conch shell in the right hand. He's got the trident over there on the left. He's got a cobra up on his left shoulder. And he has something on his head that I haven't really asked the brethren exactly what that is, but it looks like a mermaid. Looks like that something represents fertility of the sea. Anything related to the sea or the oceans is creation, it's power, it's all those kind of things. And what they'll do is they'll come up to these shrines and they'll put their little gods up on those tables to say, pray for me for this or pray for me for that. That's kind of how they do it. There's a big place in Delhi that they go. I remember one preacher said, if you really want to see the devil at work, go to Delhi and watch the thousands of people that show up to gods like this and just bring their little idols and set them up on the stands and think that that's what's going to help them whatever they need in life. So it's a challenge over there. Here's some of the other locals that you see often, depending upon where you go, especially in this area. These bulls were coming down the road on the right, and we're traveling behind this car, and I wanted to slow down and take a picture of them as they were passing by. But as we slowed down and made a gap, the lead here decided he's going to change lanes. And so we call these Indian red lights because when you're confronted with one, you stop until they're done and then you go. And I like this guy here because he looks like he's giving me the stink eye there a little bit, saying, you just sit tight till we're done. But anyway, you see a lot of those different animals, little ducks, lambs, goats being taken down the roads, 2-lane roads, and somebody kind of managing them. There's a lot of that in that part of the country. In the evenings, someone or a brother will say, will you come to my house and give a little lesson and just fellowship with us? And that's what we do. We go to their houses. They invite neighbors. We have a little get together like this. The kids always love it. And we have some crackers and cookies and biscuits afterwards. And there we go. And then we have a little family picture afterwards. It's always good to get together with people that you don't normally see in the worship services. So I really love that. These aren't homeless people. These tents are for the people in India who work in the fields, who work in the harvest and the growth and that kind of stuff. They live too far away to come back and forth every day. So they basically just come in one trip, set up tent camps, and all the things that you need or would expect for a tent camp, and they do their farming from daytime, from sunrise to sunset. And when they're done, they come back to their tents until the harvest is done and they're ready to go home. You can see they take what looks like chunks of corn and put them all in one place and burn them so that they don't rot in the fields. But this is where they stay. They do this 7 days a week. So when they want to have a worship service, you got to go at night after sundown. And that's what we do. We'll go to them on a Sunday. The brethren will do that, whether I'm there or not, obviously. And they'll come and have a worship service and go back in their tents, go to bed, and get ready to start work again Monday morning. This hole here is the beginning of a new church building that we're building out there for David, the guy that I travel around with, P. Mark, his brother, P. David. He was kind of under the same situation. He's leasing a place where he lives in a place called Mangalagiri. And they just, the owners want him out. They want to charge him more money. They want to make restrictions. The people that live there, when brothers come and park their motorcycles, you know, either Muslim or Hindu will come out and they'll complain. They'll come up into the church building and say, get your cars out of our street or something like that. Confrontations like that. Nothing that I've ever experienced that was physical. But again, you're kind of stuck in a world where you're really not welcome. So we're building him a new church building. And in fact, he got enough funding this year. We've already got the base floor and the rise for the sides. Lord willing, that'll be done by the time I get back there in February. We'll have another dedication. He'll have his own place where they can worship without being chased out by the neighbors. If you wait too long in that big hole where we're going to put concrete, you wait too long, and there was a money issue, the rains come. And what happens, that hole, instead of pouring concrete, is the bulls use it as a big bathtub. And there's not much you can do about it except let them take a bath. So that's the same hole, only after it's rained for a while. Here's a church building that had been sitting like this for about 8 years. No floor, no windows, no plaster on the bricks, just there was no funding for it. So I go over and the brothers say, brother, look at this. And we'd like to get this fixed. And I say, let's get it in the budget, let's get it fixed. And so that's what we did. We had people come and start putting plaster on the walls and putting window frames in. And this last time I went, we had a dedication. That's what the inside looks preparedly. You can see things are being painted and windows and such. We had a dedication one night. We came over. All the village people in the background came to listen, enjoy a little bit of food. And that's what it looked like when we came. Now, they don't leave all those things up there all the time for worship service, but it was a celebration, and they made it look very nice. And that place, it was just rocks and dirt floors, little dedication plaques we put up when we do these things, became a very nice inside building. Safe from the rain, safe from the heat, all those kind of stuff. Of course, you see there's fans up there. I made sure there was fans. And it was just a good get-together. Nice shot with the kids who always love to take their picture, and off we go to the next event. When we're done in the south, we come back to Hyderabad, regroup, and then we get on a plane and we go up to the border of Nepal in a place called Bagdogra and a sister city there called Siliguri. We have a school of preaching up there as well, and we're close to the border to influence all those places to the north, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh. They will come that far, and they'll welcome us to come and hear the gospel, and mostly China. We get people from China that wander back and forth across that border that we teach and we preach. We have a person that's teaching in Myanmar. We're supporting a preacher in Myanmar up in the hills. Not a place I'm real sure I want to hurry to get to just yet, but maybe one day. He's tucked away up there, and he preaches, and we do good work up there. And we have a school of preaching up there, and I like it because it's a lot cooler up there. I can wake up in the morning, it can be like 55 degrees, and that's kind of nice after 100-degree temperatures in the south. This is what their graduation ceremony looks like. That brother in the middle in the red is Brother Joseph Kati. And he's really a wonderful character. He's young, he's very vibrant, he loves to preach, he loves to teach, he travels all over the place. He speaks 5 different languages, and his English is very fluent. So it's very comfortable to talk to him about the things that we need to do up there and that kind of stuff. And the same type of scenarios. Sad thing is he lost his brother to COVID. He lost his father to gangrene about 2 years ago. And then most recently on the far left is his other brother, Asit. And Asit had a brain hemorrhage, brain stroke. And he survived it, but I don't think he'll ever be able to teach or preach again. And he's struggling with one side of his body. So he's had some bad family health issues. And those always incur costs, and that's a burden. And we try to help a little bit, but sometimes those costs, if they don't do it, there's a way to do it without paying a lot. Most of them go to where they want to get what they think is better care, maybe like we would do here. And it costs a lot of money and they get into debt. Just not a ton we can do with the debt if it gets too high. So we do what we can, but he's been struggling with that. But a great brother, good man, same thing. They get congratulations, they get gifts, nice pictures outside. This is his wife, Suba. Suba goes into the downtown of that city called Siliguri and meets with the kids who are really much on their own. They have parents and houses, but they're not good. They can't afford to feed the kids a lot. They can't afford to really do anything with them. So all the kids just kind of go out in the street and they play in their own little groups. And Suba goes down there 3 times a week and brings Bible material, things they can color on, things they can talk about, little lessons, some crackers and foods. Just a wonderful work that she does, and I think will be very influential. This is inside their house, very colorful. Just a nice shot with Joseph and Suba. And this is what the congregation, the worship service area looks like there. A larger place, colored walls. And this is where we do our talking. Their baptismal's in the back. Much bigger than that square one where you shove people straight down. You can baptize 5 people in here all at once if you wanted to. And we did, in fact, baptize 5 people that day after the second gospel meeting. And the kids and everybody loves to come around and watch it happen. It's just kind of a blessing to see. So we did that while I was there. And then moved on to Bhopal. Bhopal is north of Hyderabad, south of Delhi. And I may have mentioned this last time I was here. Bhopal is that area that had that bad chemical poison release back in the mid 80s. I don't know if you remember that sort of thing. They had carbon, the name of that company, doesn't matter. It was a bad gas leak and it was poisonous. It killed thousands of people in that city. And it killed thousands mostly because what they did in the reaction was the wrong thing to do. Gas was in the air, so people were bicycling and running outside to try to get out of the city. And all they were doing was breathing in the poison. The preacher we had there, his mother did the right thing. She put him in the bedroom, covered him with a blanket, and said, "Don't move till I tell you." And he stayed inside and he survived that. So, but anyway, Bhopal is there. That brother passed away of a heart attack. He was only 55 years old about 2 years ago. And the first time I went there in 2013 with my wife, Renee, these guys were just kids left and right. But they grew up, and he now preaches at that school. It's a school of preaching that we're trying to ramp back up to make sure we have somebody that's mature enough to direct the school and to preach and all that kind of stuff. And that's him. Boaz is his name. And Pallavi is his sister. He interprets for me in Hindi up in that part of the country. And we always have a good ceremony when we go up there, or a good sermon. And every year I've been there, a year before we baptized 3, last year we baptized 1. Somebody always seems to respond to the gospel. And if it's just because I'm there, all the more reason for them to come. If they like to come just because there's food, I don't care. As long as you can hear the word, you're coming for a good reason. This is what the baptismal looks like there. Water's kind of scarce in that area and how you use it. So you only have so much to use. So sometimes you got to hold people down in there to get them baptized, and you want to take a picture of it, but if you wait too long, they'll stop breathing. This brother here, he was ready to be baptized, but he was absolutely paranoid of going backwards into the water. Did not want his head to go backwards into the water, and we had a problem with that. Weren't sure what to do. So we sat there for a little bit, and I looked down and I said, "Will he go face first? You know, is he okay if we flip him over and baptize him that way?" Which he was, and we did. And it was unique. First time I baptized somebody face down, but we got him in the water. We go out afterwards, kind of traditionally. I take the family out. We have a dinner at a place called Under the Mango Tree. There's this big mango tree that goes up through the restaurant. And I make sure that just in case you don't think that there's a restaurant called the Mango Tree, we take a picture in front of a sign that says under the mango tree. What's cute is if you look below that, you see the sign barbecue. Yeah, there's no barbecue there. I think they just wanted that to sound good. This last time I went to a place I had not visited before, and it's a congregation, a preacher that your congregation supports. It's down there in Bangalore. It's a 5-hour train ride west out of Bangalore into a village called Bhadravati, where our brother T. Daniel preaches down there, and you've all kind of taken him on as a supporter for him. But we get on the train, we enjoy the ride down, a lot of farmland that you go through, and we had a 2-day gospel meeting ceremony. The first one was in this place. It was a rented hall. There was too many people to fit in the size of the church building they had. So we rented this hall on the first day. We didn't have it the second day, so we took to the streets. When I showed up, there was a tent in the middle of the road and chairs, and we just have the meeting right there, which is always interesting, especially in the night meetings, because the neighbors will kind of step around and see what's going on, and they'll hear what's being said, and they're curious. So they'll come and they'll listen, as happened here as well. But that brother on the right side is Brother T. Daniel, the preacher that you support, and that's his son to his right, Brother Habakkuk. They both preach down there and do the work of the Lord. So that was a good trip, and the first time I had been there. That's one of the dams that they have. That's the Bhadra River Dam. Huge thing, not as big as some of the ones we have here. But during the rainy season, when it's time to water the plantations and the crops and everything, that water will get as high as, if you see the water pouring out on the left-hand side, there's looks like a 20-foot wall to the left of it. That water will get that high, which means I couldn't be standing right there while I'm taking the picture if that water runs out. But they release that certain times of the year so that there's a water flow for the farmlands, and just a nice thing to see while you're there. And then we take the train ride home. 2.5 weeks, nonstop, cities, villages, daytime lessons, nighttime lessons. Then we go back to Hyderabad. But before I go, preach another sermon that Sunday morning in another place. Our brother Chinna Raju here, his building's a little older. They have scriptures up on the wall. It's pretty plain and straightforward. They have pews like we do. Most all the congregations bring in plastic chairs or places where you can sit on the floor. And that's what it looks like from the back. Quick story. This was his house that it was built. It must have been 60 or 80 years old. It was very old, and it just kind of collapsed. So before we started, we had to start funding to try to get him a place to live. The church building is behind. It's okay. But the house he lived in just collapsed. The reason why is it was built back in the day when they used kind of like a mud, cement, and straw to make the bricks to build the house. 60 years later, all you see is holes where the straw was. And I said, brother, what happened to the straw? And he says, brother, the white ants got it. And I said, what are white ants? And he says, well, you call them termites. So over a 60-year period, literally, these termites went through that house, ate all the straw, and when the rains came and softened all this up, I mean, it just literally collapsed on top of itself. So we bulldozed everything out of there, and he's in the process now of getting a new house built through the funding that we have. There's the roof where he's praying and giving thanks, and that's an older picture. It should be close to being completed now. We go back to Hyderabad. We have a board, an official board that's written out, signed. The government has to have a copy of, and we come back and we talk about the trip, what we did, things that we said we need to do, money that needs to be spent. We review the budget. We put all that in documentation, record it, and then I get ready to go home. We go out to a place before I leave, called High King. This is what the brothers love to do. It's just before I leave. I'm on a plane like 4 hours after this. But all that good Indian food, all that culture, all that rice, all that chicken, the last thing they want to do before I leave is go to a Chinese restaurant. And so that's what we do. And we eat a good meal there and have prayer, and then we get on the road. How's my time? Okay. This is the competition. There's that Hanuman. There's that monkey god again. I put this up because this kind of gives you an idea of the religious demographics roughly in India. And as I said, 80% in that country are Hindu, 14% are Muslim, 2.3% in the broadest definition of the word Christian, 2.3%, and then 1.5% Sikh, which are mostly in Canada. But if you look at those percentages and you know that there's 1.4 billion people in that country, what does that tell you? It tells you that there's over 1 billion people in that country that need to hear the gospel. That's why we go. And every time I go, people respond to the gospel. And there's other Church of Christ teams over there. So annually, there's thousands that are baptized, thousands upon thousands that just go. And it's not making the government really nervous. I mean, it's a democratic country. Um, what's his name? The prime minister over there. If he had it his way, he'd have all the Muslims out. It would all be Hindu if it was up to him. Modi is his name. But we don't get harassed. We don't get chased. If you're in an area where you're kind of in earshot of other people that are Muslim or Hindu, you'll hear about it. But there hasn't been any violence. Thank God, since I've been there, the only violence that occurred wasn't a direct result of any church. That one I showed you up there was over political issues of the city. Hill people getting the same rights as the people that live in the city, and that exploded. This is where your money goes. We pay preacher salaries over there. Not a lot of money. It ranges anywhere from $200 to $600 per quarter. That's our help to them, and then the rest of it, whatever they get from their congregation as they go around. Construction, we're either building new things or we're fixing old things. One of the schools of preaching in Bhopal, nice building, house, worship service, school of preaching on top, but old brick, old walls that needed tended to, and so we put money aside and fix that as well. We don't want buildings crashing upon themselves for the same reason. We give benevolence when we can, as often as we can, trying to be responsible for how much we send and for what reason, and for travel. I'm going to talk about the book of Philippians this morning and how Paul tells them how much he loves them and respects them because they've been funding him the whole time, and makes them, he says, part of the work. And that's the same with you all and me and anybody that travels. Can't do it without missionary funding. But when we do, we use it for one purpose. We give them songbooks, we give them Bibles, bicycles, sewing machines. You saw all that. And I'll mention the verse this morning. We talk in Philippians, but 3 John 8 says we ought to support such people to prove that we are fellow workers in the truth. And all for singular purpose, to say, look, there is water, and it's time to be baptized. And that we do. We do it in pools, cute little blow-up pool there, ad lib for baptism. We do it in lakes. We do it in rivers. A lot of times we won't baptize them on the spot because we don't have on the spot baptismals. But the people will make that decision, go to the brethren, and after I leave, they take them to the lakes and to the rivers, and they conduct their baptisms. And so, very successful program. The work has been good. I've been blessed. Traveling again this year, this time with my wife. She had been taking care of her mother who had dementia, passed away in October. Kind of a track that we saw coming. But now she's able to travel back over with me, and the sisters and the kids are all looking forward to seeing her back again. So good work, good program, and I appreciate your help and support. Do you have any questions for me about the work, the people, anything? Yes, sir.
What is the average attendance in these congregations that you go to? Give us a
Well, like the one in Pamity Padu, and I either skipped the picture or missed it somehow, but that was I'd say there was about 60 or 80 people in there, and it got so big that we had to make an extension of the building, which is what we did for construction. We took down a wall, put up poles, extended it another 15 or 20 feet just to put more chairs in. So, but then I'll go to night meetings in a village. You may get 12, 15 people. That's the range. I think that one in Thimapuram, there was about 200 people there. There was about 200 people for the dedication of that new church. But after I'm gone, these brethren go to places, especially closer to where idol worshiping is going on. And they will preach there to 500 to 600 people sometimes. They'll have a list of 5 or 6 brethren, and they'll all preach and they'll all come. Yes, sir. Yes, they do. Some don't. Some call themselves they're elders, but it's tough to put them in the category of fully qualified. So we're careful about that. Most that I go to do have elders. Others don't. They're just not qualified the same way we understand it, or whatever the case may be. So we pay very close attention to the preachers there and to whatever they're calling the elders there to make sure that the gospel is being preached the right way. But not in all cases. No. Any other questions? Thank you for your time. And if you got any more questions, I'll hang around and tell you whatever I can.
Thank you so much, Steve. Really appreciate that report this morning. So look forward to hearing Brother Steve's lesson during the sermon. So fellowship for a little bit and get ready for worship. Thank you.
That looks like it's off.
That's all right, 'cause we'll have this on you when you get
Oh,
here
okay.
too,
All right.
so.
I'll hang on to this thing. All right. I'll leave this here.
Awesome. Thank you so
Ah,
much.
well,
Well said.